Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson. I'm joined, as always, by Josh Bowe. We are editors over at MavsMoneyball.com. Josh, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
You know, this is my son. So my son turned 1 on November 2nd, and it's been just every day is a different slight tragedy. I'll be fine though. Everybody's mostly okay, but what it means is I'm tired, and my wife is like, "Why are you doing this basketball stuff?" And the answer, it's easier to give her an answer when the Mavs blow a team off the floor like they did tonight in this game here against the New Orleans Pelicans, and one of the more the poor Pelicans is
Lord.
poor New Orleans Pelicans. Let me just read who all was out before you give your take here, because this is sad, man. Jose Alvarado has a hamstring strain. Jordan Hawkins was out with a back strain. Herb Jones with a shoulder strain. CJ McCollum has a hip abductor injury. DeJounte Murray has that broken hand. Zion Williamson has a hamstring strain. Like, good gracious, what are you even supposed to do there? It was just kind of painful to read about, you know.
Yeah, I mean, literally every single name you read is a very important player to that. Like, literally no end of bench guys, no kind of 9th or 10th man or whatever. Like, literally 6 of their top 8 players are in street clothes. So yeah, I mean, this was a game where, look, guys, if you're watching us live or you're listening to this audio, there's not going to be a lot of hardcore analysis of this game, because this was basically like if you could do an NBA team versus a G League team mid-season. I mean, like, this is basically what that is. The only thing you get from this game is, like, did the Mavericks take care of business? And 41-point win, they took care of business. That's for damn sure. This was never competitive. There was a brief moment in the second quarter, but it was the Mavericks playing with their food. Like, they had totally gotten uninterested in the game for like a 6-minute stretch, and New Orleans kind of got back in. Like, they never got back into it. Like, it was a double-digit lead from the opening minutes to the end of the game. Like, they cut it from 20 something to 13, and that was them getting back into the game. And it was purely because the Mavericks were just kind of effing around and lost focus for a little bit, because they naturally got bored. They got bored in the middle of this game because there was just nothing for them to do. Like, this was like a scrimmage. And from there, credit to them, they refocused in the halftime and they blew the doors off of them in the third quarter. And the minutes were a little higher than you'd expect for a 41-point blowout, but that's purely for point differential purposes in the NBA Cup. So I don't know how you feel about that, but I thought it was funny to see them kind of pouring it on in the fourth quarter. But yeah, this is not a game that you point to and you're like, the Mavericks are back. Like, don't do that. But what this was a great win to just ease the tension of getting that 4-game losing streak in the rearview mirror, getting the vibes back, getting some joy back. Like, that stuff matters. That's not stats that we can point to and critique or analyze or break down. But, like, they didn't look like they were having much fun after that loss to Utah, and they didn't look like they wanted to be here. So they don't get brownie points for kicking the crap out of a team that played 2 NBA players, and then the rest were like, I don't know, like literally like we're talking like G leaguers or whatever. So they don't. The season's not fixed. The issues that plagued the Mavericks in the first 12 games or so are not suddenly gone, but they kick the crap out of a crappy team, and that's a good thing.
Well, and you kind of left out the odder story. It's not even the right word. Just one of the more interesting parts of the game where if you're following the injury report all day, you see that 95 Pelicans are out, and you just sort of assume, okay, well, if Luka Doncic is hurt, Luka's not going to play. Maybe we'll see him Friday. You and I talked in the last show. We were pretty thorough about how we just didn't think Luka was going to play. And maybe he shouldn't play. And then, of course, he's out there shooting around in pregame. And by all accounts, he looked pretty good. But
he was good.
Right, but then he plays. And not only did he play, like he moved pretty well. And he moved with a purpose. He had like 2 early steals, which were pretty funny, where it's just like, I think like the Luka defensive conversation comes around to 2 things. Like, is he cheating on defense to get steals? Is he actively disengaged? Or is he at least aware enough to be functional? Because as a 6'8", 250-pound man, however much he weighs, doesn't matter. He's a defensive presence by existing because he's big. And so it's like him just out there playing and looking like he was enjoying playing.
4 stocks, 3 steals on a block.
Yeah, and like seeing Luka look like he enjoyed it is a little bit nice. Just that part is something I was rather pleased with. I mean, I think we were all, the collective internet apparatus was irritated that Luka was playing, but somebody then pointed out that this is a home game. And I think that's, I think it is admirable that Luka always wants to play. Like one of the things that frustrates me, I get the occasional text messages from guys around the league when Luka will sit for something. It's like, Luka's sitting. Why is Luka sitting? And I'm like, he's sitting because somebody has told him he has to sit. I've gotten some pretty amazing conspiracy theory texts and DMs the last few days about Casey Smith and whether Casey Smith wanted Luka to rest more. I don't, but it's like you can't help but wonder with what's going on with the Mavericks and Luka and rest stuff, how much of a push-pull experience that really is. So
yeah. I know the last podcast I was pretty adamant that he should sit until he's right. Mm-hmm. And like if I had my druthers, I would have sat him for like the rest of this week. But I think I also made the point where I was like, if he just needed a game off, and he comes back and he looks good, then that's, I'm not a doctor. I am not going to diagnose Luka from my couch. Like if he just needed one game off and he looked, my worry was only if he only took the game off and then he came out and tonight he just looked slow and hobbled again, but he didn't. So like, hey, maybe that's what he needed. So I don't know, but he didn't at least look like he was in pain, and he didn't look like he was slowed down too much. So that's all that mattered. Like, do whatever it takes for him to just look normal, because that 4-game losing streak, it looked like he was dragging around a bum leg at times with his knee and the groin. Didn't see any of that. Like he looked pretty normal. So if that's what he needed, I guess that's what he needed. I feel like I cut you off.
No. Well, I wanted you to. Fan 123 made a comment that I think it prompted me to remember a tweet that you put out yesterday. In between Mavs games, the online fan base, Reddit, Twitter, anybody on Facebook, everybody starts to eat themselves just with time and discussion, and because people don't know how to behave on internet spaces anymore, if they ever did. But you had just one thought about the whole situation, and I think you should share it out loud because it's pretty important.
Oh, yeah. I think the big thing is do not let online strangers dictate your mood about your basketball team. Mm-hmm. And you know what? To be honest, that includes us in a way. If you're a fan of the team and you get enjoyment from watching the Mavericks or whoever your team is, and you watch the game and they had fun, and That's all that matters, man. Like, that's why you do that. Like, basketball is entertainment. That's literally the only reason why it exists. It is an entertainment product. If people didn't watch and gave money, it wouldn't exist in the way it exists. It's not like it exists because basketball needs to exist as like an institution. Like, it's an entertainment product, like going to the movies or going to a concert or watching a TV show. So you should be having fun with it. If you're not having fun with it, then why are you doing it?
That's right.
So don't let online strangers who yell loudly bring you down if you're having fun with it.
Yep.
And that's the main point, because I see people get frustrated, and I understand it's annoying. It's certainly annoying. Like,
sure.
our own Katie was like, I'm so sick of like I'm not a Dallas based fan. So like my involvement with the franchise, like I'm online. That's how I follow the team. And she's pissed off because she sees all these, ridiculous takes about like trading Luka and hating Luka. And I want to tell her, like, relax, calm down. It's not a big deal, because you talk to any person in real life, like outside, face to face, and they're a Mavericks fan, they're going to say, I love Luka. Do not trade Luka.
Right.
So that's like the point, is like, I get that stuff is bummer and frustrating. And I don't want to tell people how to feel, obviously. Like, it should frustrate you and annoy you. My advice is just try to ignore it the best you can. Don't
over-index it.
Yeah, right. So.
All right. What else should we talk about before heading into the break? I did enjoy this little stat line, Jim. Derek Lively plays 21 minutes, and more importantly, seemed to notch 0 personal fouls. That's a thing?
Throw a parade. I don't think
that's a thing that happened. 20, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. We were a little hard on Lively during the last win. Somebody pointed that out in the comments, and I just, I think it's when it's being hard on Lively, it's a reflection of how important he is to the team. And I don't know, you could go through we're gonna go. Just every single man played awesome tonight. So that element of this is pretty fun. And now the Mavericks get 2 days rest, and the poor Cavaliers and the poor Pelicans have to go play the Cavaliers.
Good luck.
No rest for the wicked for those guys. All right. So in a bit of exciting news, I wanted to share with you guys that before we go to break here, that Josh and I finally have a real sponsor for the show. A couple of weeks ago, we were approached by a company called Body Spec, and they're going to be our sort of official sponsor here during we're going to talk about it here, and I want to just explain to you what it is. So a few weeks ago, we were approached by Body Spec, and what Body Spec is, they're a company that provides what's called a DEXA scan, which is a full body composition scan to help you understand what's going on with your body. Whether you're an athlete, a parent with a desk job like Josh and I, or just a person considering getting back into shape, getting a DEXA scan is a great way to learn more about where you are in your fitness journey. Right now in the show notes on the podcast and on the notes, or in the kind of description section of YouTube, there is a link that I would love for you guys to go click. We're gonna click it here together, and I am going to take you over here to this page. We're gonna take a look at it real quick. We're just gonna share the entire screen.
I feel like I'm on a work call.
I know, right? Sorry. So right now, what Body Spec is offering is a special promo code Pod Mavericks.
By the way,
woo! Hey, read my own ad read. Sorry, I wrote all this myself. These guys are gonna tease me. Essentially, here, guys, what we're gonna do is that there is a code called Pod Maverick 45, and at checkout you'll get $15 off a single scan. With the holidays and the new year right around the corner, this is a really good gift idea, on top of being a way to kickstart your New Year's resolution. Body Spec's competitors charge as much as $150 for a scan like this, so you'll be getting real usable information for a great price. Again, visit bodyspec.com in the show notes and use the code PodMaverick45 at checkout. Josh and I look forward to sharing kind of our experiences with Body Spec in the coming days and weeks. I actually went and had my first scan yesterday, and I was and I'm serious about this, guys. We wouldn't have partnered with these people if this wasn't something we were interested in. I got my first scan. It took 5 minutes. There are locations, and Josh found this out when I kind of bullied him into signing up, and because he's going to have to go get one too. There are a remarkable amount of locations for this company. They seem to be there's mobile locations that are sort of attached to gyms and other other places all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The scan itself took 5 minutes. I got back a report that I'm probably going to go talk to my doctor about to a certain degree. It basically says, and you guys will laugh at this, it basically says that I have great lean muscle mass, but the kind of body fat that I do have is like the bad kind that comes from drinking too much. And I was telling Josh about it yesterday, and I'm just like, son of a bitch. Anyway, so yeah, please use that. Head on over to the website in the show notes and head over and consider getting a scan. It would be really helpful for you, and it would be really helpful for us, and a great way for you to consider supporting our show. While I am babbling, if you haven't subscribed to the show, please go ahead and do so. Leave a comment if you're watching the video a little bit later. If you're listening on audio only, please consider leave us a review. Josh and I will be right back to close out the show here. Hang tight.
The holidays are here at the Home Depot. If you're working on getting ready for company,
a lot of company,
make sure you're ready with Black Friday savings. Get up to 40% off select appliances, plus up to an extra $1,000 off select kitchen appliances. Upgrade your kitchen with top brands like GE Profile and get sleek cutting-edge appliances to make sure you've
got hosting handled.
Yeah, you do. Get Black Friday savings now with free delivery and financing on select appliances this holiday at the Home Depot. Offer valid November 6th through December 4th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just put it to you like this. My body spec scan played into the choices that I made throughout like the entire second half of my day after reading it. I was like, oh God.
I'm not going to get a burrito for lunch.
I'm not. No. Oh, anyway.
Good for you.
So this was a really I remember yelling at the TV at one point, Maxey, get a rebound. And then, of course, he finishes. You just kind of go through the lineup here. And obviously, Mavericks won by 40 points. Everybody played well. But it was a get-right game for a number of different people. This was really fun.
Yeah, I thought it was good. One thing that was nice, Luka playing, he didn't have, I know he still ended with 26, 5 and 5, and he took 16 shots. He didn't really have to do a lot. He was off ball for a lot of this game, and the Mavericks did not need him to generate offense. You look at some of these numbers. The Mavericks had 66 points in the paint. They had 35 fast break points. 35 fast break points.
That is many.
That is, for this team, that is a lot. They had 12 steals, 7 blocks. They scored 28 points off the Pelicans' 21 turnovers. Luka obviously orchestrated, not discounting him, just saying they didn't need him to be Superman. He just kind of chilled and players made plays around him, which is easier to do against a roster that New Orleans did. But yeah, Klay Thompson hit some threes after he struggled against Oklahoma City. PJ Washington only scored 4 points, but defensively, he was everywhere, 2 blocks and a steal. You talked about Lively not fouling. Kyrie hitting threes. Najee Marshall was great going to the basket. Maxi Kleba was great as a weak side shot blocker.
Oh my goodness. He had a couple where it was somebody in the playback we were watching said, hey, looks like Maxi's hamstring's attached. You forget with Maxey because they play him. They've used him as the primary rim protector for so long. Whenever the Mavericks were big man deficient, watching him as a help side guy is actually really fun. That's always been his best spot.
By far. Being able to clean up on the back line when you've got size guarding the ball, or like when your center steps up in a pick and roll, like having Maxey as the low man there to guard the rim is. And that's honestly a luxury. Like when he's healthy, not a lot of teams like, and they got two guys that can do that, PJ and Maxey. And like, that's a luxury. And then you got two centers that are good rim protectors. Like, this was a game, even though, it was a poor opponent. Like this is kind of like, this is why we really talked up this roster preseason. I don't want people to be gassed up about beating the Pelicans, but like, you just kind of see the versatility and what they're going for. And you saw a little bit of last season's Mavericks. Like you saw some of that defensive swagger. Like we said, 12 steals, 7 blocks. So that was good. I think Quentin Grimes is here to stay, Kirk. What about, do you foresee another DNP CD for Quentin Grimes?
Dude, he just and what makes it'll look more confusing, I hope, as the year goes along with whatever snafu existed between him and Kidd. I'm glad they seem to have worked past it because he is a fantastically fun basketball player. He does a lot of things that it's like, I remember when we talked about him, we're like, oh, well, he seems to have this Tim Hardaway-like confidence shooting the ball. You know what Tim Hardaway rarely did in a game? Rebound like this guy does. This guy just kind of flies all over the place, and he finished a fast break layup where I thought he was going to do a Statue of Liberty dunk. Like he's very athletic, man, and it might not be the kind of athleticism that you see like running at the rim all the time, but he just adds another layer, another component. If these guys are able to all figure out how to play well at the right time, they are capable of a lot of things. He's good.
Yeah, I think it goes to show that this was as much as they needed to get out to a good start. And, if they win, 5 out of their next 6 games or whatever, I think we could still qualify. They started the season well because you give them to about mid-December, Christmas. I don't know what you classify as like, when is it a good start? When is it a bad start? Obviously, losing 7 of your first 12 games isn't a good start, but they're still in the early enough part of the season that they can kind of dig themselves out of that hole, which they're doing. But you tend to forget, like they swapped in a lot of new pieces. Like, they got a new starter in Klay Thompson, who's not just like a role player. Like, he's a core, maybe he's not like the star Klay Thompson that he was, but that's a big infusion into your starting lineup. And then their bench is just radically different with Najee and Quentin Grimes. So I guess it makes sense that they needed some time to figure it out. I know it didn't look great as they were trying to figure it out. Like the Grimes thing, like the DNP, like I wonder if that was just like a kid motive. Like, was that a motivation? Like it had to be some sort of like motivational tactic or something, or maybe he was just doing stuff that he did not like in practice or like something like that. So that's going to be something like we'll just never know unless someone reports on what was going on there. But it's just a reminder that they are incorporating a lot of new pieces and they're trying to play a little differently and they're trying to wean themselves off of Luka needing to do everything. So I guess it should have been expected that there were going to be some bumps in the road to start off. And of course, injuries didn't help, but I don't know. Like, they could lose. They're playing Denver next. They could lose to Denver and the good times of this game is already forgotten, but they can only play who's in front of them on their schedule. Like they can't determine this stuff. So if they're going to play a crappy team, beat the crap out of them. And, they won by 41 points. Like, you can't really critique anything about the team tonight, and you can't critique their effort, their disposition, and the result too. Like they never let New Orleans have a chance. Like even that second quarter, as you said before the break, like they still only got down to 13. Like this was never a competitive basketball game.
That's right. That's right. I really enjoyed the Najee Marshall drives. He's never going to hit a 3-pointer ever again. I think that's kind of safe to say.
Man, when was the last time he hit a 3-pointer? You keep talking, I'll look it up.
So he's 5 of 8 from the floor, and he shot 2 threes. So he was 5 of 6 from kind of the midi 2-point area, and a lot of them were on, kind of floatery drives. Like it's a sort of shot that teams would give. That honestly, defenses are sort of programmed to give up. Where if the team's fourth best guy is driving and shoots a floater, you live with that. Right. Only he is his. I mean, they look like they're going down every time.
I know. That's the point of the roster, right? Though, mm-hmm. Like they knowing what NBA defenses will want to give up. You just said it. You hit the nail on the head. You're like, defenses are like, oh, that's their fourth best player on the floor shooting a driving floater. We'll give that up. Well, with how good defenses are and scouting and scheming, especially in the playoffs, like what that means is you need your fourth best player on the floor to be able to do stuff like that, right? Like That's the counter to how these defenses are playing the Mavericks and taking away the lobs and taking away the corner threes and not doubling Luka. Is you need your guys to be able to do that kind of stuff. He hasn't hit a 3-pointer since November 8th.
What is he on the year though? Because he didn't even hit that many beforehand.
He is below 14% on the year. He is 0 for his last 5, 7, 9, 10. 0 for his last 12 3-pointers.
I'll tell you how many he's hit on.
But he's still hitting over 55% of his shots in the month of November.
That's hilarious. I mean, he's passing up threes left and right like that. That I can tell is like when I watch games with David Trink of Mavs Moneyball, he's like screaming. He's like, just shoot the ball, man. So he is now 4 of 30.
Damn.
That's really hard. It's really hard to do.
I wonder, but he's probably shooting like 60% on 2-pointers. If you think about it, if he's shooting 13% on threes, but he's still over 50% from the floor.
So I just clicked away from it like a dummy. All right. So if so it's 5 of 6 from 2. So he's 50 of 71.
From 2?
Is that right? 50 of 76.
That's pretty good.
That's right. Yeah. 50 of 76.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yes, he's 60 over about 65% on 2s. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good, man.
And think about how many contested 2s he takes in terms of those driving floaters and those drives at the rim. That's pretty good. I mean, if he at this point, like if he can finish the season shooting like 32% from 3, that means he'll go on a serious heater. Because if you go from 13 to 30%, you're probably what? That's pretty
his free
good.
Throw, yeah, and he makes a good point. His free throw percentage is outstanding. So he missed one tonight. So he's actually 24 of 25 on the year.
That's usually a good indication that you're not like a busted shooter, right?
That's right.
You can hit your free throws. So I don't think he's going to be 38% shooter like we thought he could maybe be last. Like that was obviously the outlier, but he's not. He's not I don't think he's a 13%. 3-point shooter.
No, he's much more like what his career before this was about 31%. So it's so was Derek Jones until he became a Maverick. So I don't know. If the 2-point stuff wasn't going, he wouldn't be playing. Because you got to have some sort of scoring threat, and the guy right now is just playing out of his mind. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah. What do you think of Dan? Do you think the Daniel Gafford off the bench? Lively starting thing is here to stay. The broadcast kind of hinted that Kid was talking about like this isn't permanent, but he wants to see how it
Kid
goes.
likes to say shit like this. I would hope that both the media, and this includes us, even though we don't talk to the players, I would just sort of hope that this doesn't become a question, because who cares if you're winning? Like Gafford is a very solid big man who has some specific limitations, but for what Dallas asks of him, starter or bench player, he's very good. I don't know. I just don't really like thinking about it because I just don't care, because honestly, half the time I'm 5 minutes late to every game because of real life shit. So I never really see who starts anyways. And these guys play like 4-minute bursts before they get subbed out, because it's like, if you get 48 minutes out of your centers, 24, 20, like you play 30 of one and 18 of the other, or no, that's not right. The math, whatever the math is on this, like they just need like run them ragged. Who cares?
Yeah. And I kind of like Gafford off the bench because I think at this point, he's probably a better scorer than Lively. And you need more scoring off the bench, so to speak, even though I know a lot of people were like, well, play him with Luka more because you want Gafford to get his offense, from the stars because he's such a great finisher. But like they kind of post him up a little bit tonight. I know he had a turnover and he almost had like two more.
He had a face up move that was like old man YMCA shit where he faced up, looked to pass, and then was like, drives into his guy and laid it in. It was great.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he could be if they keep Lively starting, like Gafford could be a six man of the year.
Apparently Lively's the only one on the betting boards right now.
Really?
Yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah, they got to get more games where Lively's starting and Gafford's off the bench. But I mean, it makes, like if Gafford's coming off the bench and averaging like 11 and 6, like that's 6 man of the year. Like that could be, I don't know. That's just interesting wrinkle because we think so much of 6 man as like the scoring guard. I think absolutely. Like if they keep the arrangement the way it is, he could be a 6 man of the year winner. So, yeah, I don't know. I just they needed good vibes after that 4-game losing streak, and they've done their job. And
so what do they got ahead of them? This Denver game, you kind of expect Jokic to play. He's missed the previous 2 with the birth of a child. Which is obviously a very important reason to miss a game for. But he'll have 2 more days of paternity leave. I just think he'll be back. I think he'll be back late 9 p.m. start time for us. Then the Mavericks play Miami, Atlanta, New York, Utah, Portland, a decimated Memphis team, Washington, Toronto, Clippers, Portland. Like the Mavericks have a chance if they have their shit together. They have a chance to take it well above because they're around 1 game 500, 8-7 after dropping below. They've won 3 straight. There's an opportunity ahead of them to go on the kind of win-racking run that we were talking about over the summer and in the preseason.
Yeah, so they should be able, if they take care of business, they will get to that Minnesota Christmas Day marquee matchup like with like 18 wins.
And there's a big gap in the schedule currently right now between December 7th and December 19th, which is sort of games slotted for the cup game. And is this Friday game against Denver a cup game?
Yes.
Okay. And the Mavericks are now 1-1 in cup games. I don't know. It's not that I don't care. I just don't want to think about this right now. You only get to play 3 games for the seeding. And
so this is the last.
Did they take the top 2?
They take the top 2 of each group.
Okay, so the fact that the Mavericks went for it tonight is actually that they kept the points up means that they are actually trying to make the cup, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, because they didn't make it last year. They didn't get to the bracket round. So
yeah,
if they win on Friday, they will be in the bracket round for sure. Even if they lose like a close game. They
still might have a chance.
Yeah, because their point differential is going to be bonkers after this game.
Right.
So,
all right. Okay. I wasn't honestly, guys. I'm not going to host the secondary show. Both of my children are homesick, so I am and probably fighting something myself, but I don't have time for it. So, and plus, I don't really think there's just not too much you can crow about after that game, right?
No, that was a great game.
It's fun, but I just think there's not much to complain about or really even rant about that we haven't already covered because the Pelicans are there's that many guys.
That was not an NBA team.
Do? No.
They played.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out. Remember, please check out the link in the show notes for Body Spec. Please consider leaving us a review and a comment. We appreciate all that sort of thing. We will be back on Friday. In the meantime, consider checking out MavsMoneyball.com. Everybody be good and have a great rest of your week. Go Mavs.